Hello there. I think I actually remembered to hit live this time. So we're already off to a better start than last night. Let me check the upper right-hand corner. Yeah, it says end stream, so that means it's going. Well, hi everybody. Thanks for coming to hang out. There's people here. I love that. I love that. Hey, Jason P is here. Thanks for coming. It's good to see you. I saw you in the lifeboat earlier. Hey, Sandy Wandy. How's it going? Thanks for being here. Hey, Warren Shull. Post event. What event? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. Who else came? Who else is here? Who else is here? There's me. There's me. I'm here. And I pressed live this time. Hey, Janet G. Good to see you. Good evening from Alberta, Canada. Awesome. Good evening from Dallas, Texas to Alberta, Canada. You are correct. You are correct, Janet G. Post event must be referring to her son's birthday party, ice cream, cake, and good time had by all, I'm sure. It did go really, really well. Some of y'all know my son's birthday, like his actual birthday was last week. It fell over Memorial Day weekend though. So we just kind of did some stuff at home with the family that day. And we had like a little party for him today. And so that's what I'm referring to with post event. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But I want to say hi again. Who else is here? Hey, Crafty Witch is here. Good to see you, Crafty Witch. Hey, Seventh Son is here. Good to see you too, Seventh Son. Thanks for being here. Am I missing anybody? Did I forget to say hi to somebody yet? Ooh, this is interesting. Janet G says, fun fact, guys, I have eggs incubating in incubators in my kitchen. Exotic game birds. My husband's hobby. That's awesome. Exotic game birds. Like, do you know what kind they are? Like, are we talking ostriches or something? Are you going to have baby ostriches in your house, Janet? That would be amazing. And if that happens, I would love to see pictures. Hey, Carrie Ann, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Missed last night's boat was fishing. I mean, fishing is a good reason to miss things. Fishing is like meditation, basically. That's what I've been told before. It's meditation, but with a goal, because you're just sitting in a boat, just kind of chilling, focusing, waiting, enjoying the moment. It's meditation with a goal. So I thought that was funny. Hey, can't think of a better name. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Hey, it's Mon. Hey, Mon. Good to see you. Thanks for being here from the future. You're our emissary. Hey, Mary from Blessed Crochet. I'm sorry I missed your live earlier when it went live. I had already hopped onto the lifeboats live, and then I didn't see the notification. And then I was kind of doing a combination of walking my dog at the same time. So, like, I was just all over the place. I was, my brain was scattered, but I did watch the replay. So thank you. Thank you for putting it up there. It's always nice to see Christina. So that was really cool. Really cool. Hey, hi, Miss Dragon. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Mary, I'll have to get with you to figure out how to make that little bot guy to make it easier for our friends to share links and stuff like that. Let's see. Have I missed anybody? If I've missed anybody, please go, hey, let me know, because it's never my intention to miss anybody ever. But you know how it is. Sometimes your eyeballs go crisscross and you don't see as well. So, and things get busy. Ooh, so these are the game birds that Janet G has incubating in eggs in her exotic game bird eggs. So we've got peacock, wood duck, pintail duck, cinnamon teal. I don't know what that looks like. Baikal teal, Hungarian partridge, chukar. I don't know what a chukar is. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. Bar-headed goose, emperor goose, and red-breasted goose. That's really cool. I would love to see pictures of these birds when they hatch. That's so awesome. What do you do with all these game birds when they hatch? Like, oh, I guess maybe they get eaten. But I'm curious. I mean, that's fine if that happens. That's part of life, right? That's how we get meat, right? Exactly. Fishing is meditation with fish. It's very calming. It's weirdly calming to watch people fish. We have a couple friends of the channel that's what they do on their channels is they fish. And it's very calming to watch too. So let's see. Oh, hey, Carrie Ann's heard of the bird, the chukars. I hope I'm saying that right. Chukars, maybe? Chukars? I don't know. truck it sounds like I'm saying truckers, like the birds are driving trucks, which is just silly because they don't have thumbs. It'd be hard to hold the wheel, I would think. They'd have to adapt a truck for a bird to drive it. A raccoon could drive a truck, though, if it was tall enough for its feet to reach the pedals because they have thumbs. You probably wouldn't want it to, though. So that's what my title refers to, you guys. It does refer to my son's birthday party today. Y'all know, some of y'all know anyway, I've talked to that my son turned 5 last week, which is super exciting for me and also kind of nostalgic because, your kid grows up fast. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of surreal because I remember him being teeny, teeny, tiny. And, last his actual birthday was over Memorial Day weekend, so we figured people would be busy and out of town and stuff like that. So we didn't do a party last weekend. We just did some family stuff, but we did a birthday party for him today, and he had a couple friends from his preschool class come, and actually his teacher from his pre-K class was there, and then my parents came, and who else? There's a couple of my brother and his wife and their little boy, his cousin. So it was a busy, hopping, fun time. There were lots of balloons and lots of kids running around, and lots of hilarity ensued, and lots of happy yelling and cake and all the good stuff. And it's all good, and it was really fun, and it was really great. Um, and then afterwards, when everybody left, I had this sense of, "Hmm." Like, it went good, it went well, but I still had afterwards, when it was all done and over with, that sense of like, "Hmm." You know? And then I thought, "Oh gosh, I feel a little sad. This is weird." And then I thought, "Wait, isn't that a thing? Like, don't I remember reading somewhere that that's a thing that happens to people?" And it turns out it is. Like, there's a name for it. Post-event blues or post-event letdown is a thing when people spend a lot of time prepping or training or getting ready for some big event. They can have this effect where they have the event and it happens, and then afterwards they get a little bit, a little bit sad, like a little bit bluesy and stuff because there's not bluesy the music. Well, maybe, maybe, but like you get a little bit of the blues. Like not necessarily full-blown depression, but like you get a little bit, "Oh, I'm kind of bummed now." And it happens with like smaller things, like, a birthday party for your kid, which compared to other events is kind of small. And it happens with bigger things too, like with people planning weddings and people training to climb Mount Everest and stuff like that. So I'm curious if you guys have ever experienced post-event blues before. I'm gonna try and catch up with the chat here because I know y'all been sharing more information here. Oh, good, Janet G. I was concerned about those. I mean, I was not gonna judge, like, I mean, that's how we get meat. We raise animals and eat them. But Janet G says, "We do not eat them, they are pets. My husband has a large aviary where they can fly and roost." That is so cool, Janet G. That's awesome. Purely a bird fancier hobby. I love that. That is so cool. I would love to like, if there is there somewhere you post photos of any of them? That just sounds really I would love to visit your aviary. That sounds so cool. Um, People have different opinions about zoos and some people hate them, but I remember like there was an area of the zoo that was basically just an aviary. It was like enclosed, but they could fly around like at will. And I loved walking through there. It was one of my favorites. Yes, thank you, Mary. I'm really excited. First happy mail on its way. I had not heard that phrase before YouTube. Happy mail. Like, this is only the second time I've seen it written anywhere, and I saw somebody post it in another video, like, a video of them opening Happy Mail, and I'm like, "Happy Mail? I guess it's mail that makes you happy." So, I'm excited. I'm excited for Happy Mail, so thank you. I agree, Jason P. Opposable thumbs were the best invention since sliced bread. But you know what? Could we have invented sliced bread without our opposable thumbs? Like, I mean, really, like, would we be able to hold the knife to cut it? Like, what do you think came first, the thumbs or the bread? Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, did I miss something? I missed something in the chat. I saw we're sending ones for dad and missed. Let me scroll back and see. I'm looking, I'm looking. Oh, I may have missed something because y'all are awesome and y'all chat in the chat. But I think I remember Miss talking about stuff going on with her dad the other day. So yes, I agree. Ones for Miss Dragon and her dad. If anybody's new to ones in the chat, that's just a way for us to express support for one another. Whatever you do, pray, send good vibes, um, anything like that. That's what ones mean. Right? Bird truckers? What kind of bird do you think would be best at driving a truck? I'm gonna have to think on that for a second. Probably a bird of prey. Birds of prey have to be kind of smart. Let's see. Oh, hey, Dawn Aaron Loving Hands is back. Good to see you. Hi again, sweet Kristen. I was here watching and listening in the background, but I'll be listening again. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for listening in. So, with post event blues, very much like after a wedding, for example, they can get the blues as much as such or sad or flat. Weddings in particular, like I don't know if it's like this everywhere. It sounds like it might be like this way in Australia too, but people really like ramp up and get like amped up for weddings. Like people spend a lot of time planning them, like down to the most minute detail. And then when it happens, it's still just a day, right? And it might be a really fun day and everything might go really well. But like if you spent all this time basically arranging your life and everything you do around prepping for this one event, when you've had it and then the event's over, suddenly there's kind of this hole in your life, like where, well, I was spending all this time planning for this thing and now I don't have to do that anymore. So now what do I do with myself? Um, so one of the things I was reading is like to kind of mitigate or like lessen the effects. It's good to like make sure you keep your regular hobbies and like some of your regular stuff that you like to do. Now, planning a birthday party is nowhere near as huge as planning a wedding. I mean, unless you have a small wedding, I don't know. Maybe that's some people have small weddings, maybe for this reason partly, and that's awesome. But there are way bigger events, is what I'm saying. But you can still kinda get caught up in the, like, rearranging your life, and then when the thing's over, you have to kinda rediscover, "Wait, what did I used to do with my time before all this?" I think one extreme example might be, like, getting a degree or getting a certification, something you have to spend a lot of time doing coursework for or something like that. Oh, no. What missed? To top it off, Joann's Fabric took money out of my account, but there's no record of my order, so I gotta fight with them tomorrow. Oh, no. Nobody wants to fight with the craft store. We're supposed to be friends with they're supposed to be our friends. We're supposed to be able to trust the craft store. I'm sorry, Mist. That sucks. That sucks. I hope that they are kind and helpful swiftly and you do not have a terrible customer service experience. Okay, I learned something. Chuckgars are a type of partridge native to parts of Western North America. I have to look up a picture of them. Yeah, totally. Definitely plug your daughter's channel, Bless to Crochet. People can go over and get it a subscribe. She does cosplay stuff. Like if any of y'all are familiar with cosplay, it's like you create like you sew and create costumes to kind of replicate that of like popular video, TV, movie, like video game characters. And I've seen some people do really cool and creative stuff with cosplay, like people totally replicate a costume of a comic book character and it's really cool and it's so down to the detail, like, they could charge for pictures if they wanted because 'cause they'd look like the character. I always think cosplay is really cool. I wish I could do it, but I can't sew. I tried to learn, but I couldn't stick with it long enough to learn. That's kind of a theme with me. If I would just stick with a thing, I could probably learn it okay, but I have a hard time sticking with a thing. So, let's see. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you got some awesome laughs. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. Oh, no. Missed, you have to go in and actually show them what you wanted so they can understand how to get the total from your bank account. Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha. Oh, hey, yeah, you guys please go check out Steerus, which is another channel that focuses on, like, toxic relationships and how to handle that kinda stuff. Toxic Tuesday is Tuesday at 7 PM Eastern Standard Time. It's usually one of the times I'm watching the boat, but I usually watch the replays of Toxic Tuesday. But yeah, it's a cool channel. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying exploring some of that. It's really, really cool. Alfonso does music for your channel, is that right, Mary? I think I saw him on a live with you. I think I saw him. Like, he was the one that was playing the layers of the pianos, right? He was playing 2 keyboards at once, right? I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so back to events. Mary says, I was way too tired after my daughter's wedding to be blues about anything. It took me like a month to recover because I did all the decoration and planning. Heck, yeah, I would imagine so. Well, I mean, that's kind of a part of it though. Like, aside from the emotional part of it, like post-event letdown apparently also includes like a physical component. And like Mary, I know you got, specifics that would make the physical component maybe challenging, but eh, to some degree, like a lot of that, like a lot of people experience that. Like there's a theory that this letdown period after an event kind of happens for a reason. Like it's nature's way of saying, okay, you've been spending a lot of energy working up to this thing and you need to rest now. It's like it's like your brain and your body and nature's way of saying, okay, I'm going to take all your mental and emotional energy now to force you to take a nap because you need to take a nap because you've been working and building up to this thing and you need to recover. And actually, it's funny now that I think about it, after everybody left and we kinda got some things situated, that's what we all did. We all crashed out on the couch. Like, I sent Mary a picture of me and my kiddo, like, crashed out on the couch. I think I was asleep for, like, 2 hours, and my little guy stayed asleep, like, on me, like, in my nook for, like, another hour, which is weird for him because he never naps. He is not a napping kid at all, and he hasn't been since he was, like, a year old. Um he just doesn't, but apparently all the excitement and all the hubbub, like, caught up to him because, we were hanging out on the couch and he just conked out. That was nice because my husband and I needed to rest too, so that was good. Oh, Sandy Wandy says, "I get depressed when I graduate. Seriously, I have a BA, 3 master's degrees, and a doctorate." Wow, Sandy Wandy. I didn't realize I knew you had a degree, but I didn't realize you had so many. That's amazing. After each graduation event, I got a really bad depression. Wow. So you bring up a good point. Like, when does it stop being just like post event letdown and turn into like, ooh, like this is kind of severe or like something clinical that maybe I need some support or some help with? Um, Most everything I looked back at kinda, like, came to the conclusion, like, if something lasts, like, more than a week or 2, then maybe that's the time when it's time to start looking into, "Oh, do I need a little extra support with this? Do I need to talk to a counselor? What do I need to do? Do I need to change how I'm structuring my life if it lasts this long?" But, yeah, I hear you. So there I mean, there's a difference between feeling depressed, which I feel like is a normal human experience. There's a difference between that and clinical depression, which is, like, diagnosable and lasts longer than 2 weeks, and you have trouble functioning and stuff like that. So that's but it can trigger it for some people. Like, for some people, the post-event letdown thing, if you're prone to clinical depression, it can trigger that and it can turn into it. So it's something good to watch out for. So the piece in all of this, so I get like post event let down from like almost every big event I get involved in. And like the bigger it is, usually like the bigger the letdown, afterwards. Not because the event is bad. Like I love it when it's happening, it goes well. But then afterwards, I'm just like, just kind of, oh, like a slug. Um, there's a couple ways to mitigate it though, that one of the big ones that I always missed in the past was tapping into your social network, like tapping into your connections and your friends and like, reaching out to people. And one way you could do this is like if it was an event with like gifts. If people gave you gifts, you can, call them and say thank you or write thank you notes. If you were an athlete and you were training for something, you can, reach out to the people that helped you train and thank them and talk about like what you're doing now to like maintain or what you want to do next and things like that. So for graduations, that's tricky because it's kind of like one of the other ways of coping with it was to kind of like start thinking about what your next goal is, like, okay, I've got this awesome degree now. Like, what do I want to use this knowledge for? Like, what do I want to put that towards? But I guess it's different for everybody depending on what the event is. What are all your degrees in, Sandy? When I don't know if I've ever asked this before. Yeah. Do you mean the opposable thumbs and the sliced bread, Jason? Which one came first? Chicken or egg, right? Oh, you worked for Joann's? So, I used to go to Joann's with my mom all the time. Like, it was It was down next to the mall, and if we had to go to the mall for anything, we were going to Joann's Fabric every time. Well, the one we called it Joann's Fabric. I think they took the name fabric out of it though at some point. But my mom sewed a lot, like, in a time where that was starting to be a lost art, she sewed everything, like, she sewed all of our costumes and stuff like that, which I didn't think anything of at the time, but now I know that that's not everybody does that. Hey, Miss Dragon. Miss Dragon says, one of the things I'm dealing with right now is I'm content to be at home 7 days in a row. Hubby misses people. I'm comfortable without them. Oh, well, I mean, if you're comfortable with it and you still feel happy and like well adjusted, then that's awesome, right? But I guess this would be tricky to balance that, right? Especially if you're wanting to spend time together. Cause maybe he's like, hey, let's go out to get dinner. Like, let's go out to a party. And meanwhile, are you over there like, no, I really want to stay home? Has that been a like, has that come up, Mist? Yeah, happy mail as opposed to bills. That's a good point, 7th. You know, when I was a little kid, I loved getting anything in the mail. It didn't matter what it was. Like, if it had my name on it, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I would write lots and lots of letters to my grandparents, and they would always write me something back. And I would always get so excited. And my grandmother didn't even really like, she just wrote a letter, like, at the same length she would have in her regular handwriting. She didn't try to, like, dumb anything down for me or anything like that. If I didn't understand a word, then I would ask my mom, but I always thought mail was very happy until I started getting bills as an adult, so it is nice to have people purposefully send something that's not a bill. You know what I was thinking would be fun? But people would have to feel have PO boxes or feel comfortable giving out mailing addresses. I thought it would be fun to do like a postcard or like letter exchange type thing. Just a thought, just a random idea that popped into my head the other day. Because we all get all the bills and it's kind of depressing, but it's nice to get like a card or something every now and then just saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Or like a funny postcard or something. "Oh no, Miss. I'm so sorry. Dad home from the hospital, but my stepmom is now in the hospital. I'm so sorry, Mist. I'm so sorry. I hope your stepmom is getting good care, and I hope your dad is recovering well too, or he is comfortable as well." So penguins would be the coolest bird to drive a truck. Is that what you think? I think so too. They would have to get like sticks or canes or something to reach the pedals, or they'd have to work together as a team, right? Can you imagine like the penguins trying to coordinate with one another? We have another vote for the homebody crowd, content being a homebody. You know, I'm not even sure if I'm content being a homebody anymore because I kind of just have to be. I think I probably am not really, but I've just have had to learn to be because I've been working 100% remote for the past, gee, 6.5 years, and then I have a little kid. So it's hard to get out. So, but I think normally I would probably like naturally I'm better, I work better, I function better if I do leave the house more often. I'm actually looking forward to changing to a job where I have to go somewhere else physically. It's kind of funny because everybody else says that thinks that's crazy that I'm going to be okay having a commute again, but I'm like, I'm kind of looking forward to getting outside. Yeah, crafty witch. I would understand big weddings. LOL. Jason, I spent $200 and got married with mountains in background. That sounds beautiful. Honestly, I'm kind of jealous. So my wedding was big, but I don't know if I would have picked it, if that makes any sense. Like, there were a lot of other people that wanted it to be big, and I was still very at the most active stage of my people pleasing, I think. Or maybe not the most, but close to it. I was very big in the people pleasing, so my whole thing about wedding planning was it's a party, like, it was a party for these other people, and in retrospect, I don't know if I would have had it as big as we had it. I loved my wedding, like, it was a blast, like, it was awesome, but I felt like there were so many people I barely got to talk to, and, I didn't f you know what I mean? Like, and it was a blur, right? So I kind of like that idea of like the small, like intimate sort of thing. I mean, I don't know. Like it was what it was. And I'm not saying I didn't like it. I loved it. But I don't know if I would have had it as big if I'd, been more comfortable just like saying what I wanted back then. Hey, Maya is here. Good to see you, Maya. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. I would love to do that. Let's do crochet. I was going to actually ask if that's okay with you. I would love to do that. Like that sounds like a blast to me. If that's okay with you, I will definitely do that. Yeah, maybe Sandy Wandy answered this further down in the chat because I'm apparently behind on it. Mm. Math, data science, business, and health administration. Wowza. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Now, which one is the most recent? And when you got a new degree, was it like because you wanted to change careers or you wanted to like grow in a different direction? I'm just curious. I stopped at my master's degree, right? And sometimes I like the idea of getting a doctoral degree, but I don't know if it would matter much. Like I guess people like the idea of like you've got PhD in your name and it makes them take you a little more seriously, so that's one thing. Um if you're a therapist with a PhD, you can charge insurance companies a little bit more, but I mean, it's a lot of school and a lot of money, and I don't know if it would make a huge difference in the day to day, but I've thought about it. I've thought about it. Oh, that's a big wedding. I think mine was around that size. Um, it was great and it was fun, but it was also overwhelming. Sandy Wandy, interesting. English literature, rhetorical theory, and professional writing. I didn't know they had degrees in rhetorical theory. What's that? That sounds fascinating. That sounds cool. Jason P says, I understand post event blues. I just had a niece give birth to her daughter. I was so happy, but realized I'm now a great uncle and my brother in law is a grandfather. Wow. Time waits for nobody. That is pretty heavy to think about. Like, I was thinking about how fast time flies that my kiddo is 5 now. So, I'm thinking about, like, what would it feel like? What would it be like to see him have kids or see my niece or my nephew have kids? And, oh gosh, that's wild. That's surreal almost. I kinda That makes me think about things differently from my parents' perspective now because they came over today and my mom was looking at all the pictures of him when he was an infant, and, I I think they're probably feeling a little bit of that too. I know I am. Yes, Maya, it is. Maya asks, "Is the rehearsal dinner for weddings a thing in the US? I have seen it in movies, but is it something you actually do?" So, not everyone does it, but a lot of people do. We did. The idea is that you kinda like, you hit up the, place where you're gonna have the wedding, like, the night before or the day before to do basically like a dry run, like it were a show. And it kind of is a show, honestly, like, it is. You're getting up in front of a bunch of people, and you're doing a thing with a script probably. It it's a very like, it's emotional, and it is about you connecting to another person, but there is a performance aspect of it. So the rehearsal dinner is like, you get there, usually it's gonna be the people in the wedding party, and then the couple, and then maybe the officiant or, you know, clergy or whoever is performing the ceremony, and you basically just kinda, like, walk through, "Well, this is what's gonna happen then, this what's gonna happen then." It's just kind of to make sure everybody knows when and where things are gonna happen, and then usually you go out to dinner afterwards, and, or you go do something afterwards, and usually you invite those people that were in the wedding party with you that had to do all that stuff with you, kind of like, "Hey, thanks for doing this, let's feed you now." Not everybody does that, though. Um, we did, but not everybody does it. But the dinner part can be fun. Like, sometimes people will, like, make toasts and stuff. Like, sometimes it's a little more intimate than the wedding itself. But if you're having a small wedding, there's not really a need for it because it's already intimate. Um, like, so There's the Emily Post etiquette style of weddings in the US and includes stuff like that. But really now everybody does whatever they want and it just needs to be meaningful to the couple, right? Like my brother and his wife, they actually they went and did like a destination wedding in Colorado and they had like two of their friends there and their dog and they just like live streamed it to us. And then they did like a party when they got back. Their thing was we want our ceremony to be super small and then we'll just have a party when we get back. And that's what they did. Okay, I have to figure out the math on this. Seventh son says, I was born an uncle. I dated a woman that was born 6 hours after her great niece. Wow. Okay, that must be the age different in the siblings. Okay, I'm tracking now. I'm tracking. Okay. I'm super behind on the chat, and what an awesome problem, you guys. So I'm gonna try to catch up here. Yeah, yeah, the rehearsal is usually the larger something you do if you have a larger wedding. Oh, Crafty Witch says, "I will say I am actually grateful for getting older. Post-cancer has made me grateful." That's a good dang point, Crafty Witch. That's a good dang point. It's like getting older may not always be fun, but what's the alternative, right? Like, a lot of people don't get to get older. Getting older is a privilege, yeah, it is. Oh, that reminds me, getting older makes me think of my grandfather who caught the fish that became the mascot, Fish Head Herman. "Hello, guys. How's it going? Hey, guys." So, I saw my dad today, so I was able to talk to my dad and ask, "Okay, what kind of fish, first of all?" Herman was a catfish. He was a catfish in his life. And how big was he? He was apparently 8 or 9 pounds. But keep in mind, this is years later, and the story of the fish that was caught always gets way bigger the more time goes by. So, who knows? He may have started out like 4 pounds and now he's 9 pounds. I don't know. Oh, wow. I just noticed Mary sent me some photos from her daughter's wedding that are really, really pretty. Hey, Mon. Thank you for saying the YouTuber thing for me. Please hit the like or the dislike if you're not feeling it today. Just don't be a fence sitter. Let us know what you think. Jason P, you have 2 degrees, but you're done with school. It's too stressful. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's a I'm not sure how I did it actually, except maybe that I was younger and had more energy and didn't have a child. Um, but, like, I was working on both my undergrad and my graduate degree at a time that I was also, like, in a really codependent relationship, and I was basically, like, taking care of everything for, like, both of us and our apartment and our finances and everything too. I'm not sure like, I just studied all the time. Like, anytime I was doing anything, I was also studying. Like, I would be on a treadmill and I'd be reading. I'd be, like, at a flippin' stoplight and I'd be checking a textbook. You kinda learn to, like, make time out of thin air. Some people will work on a degree while they're also working a full-time job, which I didn't, but my hat's off to those people. I don't know how you do that. Like, I know people do it, and I've thought about trying to do it, but at this juncture, like, with the age of my son, I don't know how I would do that. I already don't really sleep, so I would just completely have to not sleep, I guess. Oh, wow. Crafty Witch says, I was management and left to be a caregiver for my grandma. They still want me back, but I know they will want me to be management again, and I can't at Joanne's. Yeah, management has a way of ruining things. Like, I mean, what I mean is like being promoted to management has a way of ruining a job. It's hard to go back. It's hard to go back. Okay, this makes sense. Seven. The woman, her brother was 25 years old when his baby girl was born. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Hey, I'm behind too, Sweet Tea. Sweet Tea says I'm a little behind on this video. Well, I'm a little behind on the chat as well, so we can hang. It's okay. As far as post-event blues, I am the yearbook advisor for my school. We work on it all year, and now when it went to print, I'm a little sad. Yeah, apparently this is a thing. This is kind of like not everybody, right? Nothing's 100%, but this is kind of a universal thing that happens to people when we spend a lot of time like working on something and planning for it and rearranging our lives to make it happen. The thing happens and we're really happy and it goes well, but then afterwards it's like, "Well, what do I do now?" And part of it is like it's natural and normal. It's nature's way of telling us, "Hey, you need a rest now." So it's like bringing down our emotions to try to get us to simmer down and like take a rest. Um, but if we're not careful, it can like flip over into that clinical depression zone if it lasts a long time and gets more severe. So some of the things that we can do are start planning our next goal. Um, and the most important one to me was like reach out to your social support people, like reach out to your community, which is the thing I always missed in the past. Like I would always have post event blues last like way longer than they should have because I didn't have friends to reach out to, or I didn't reach out to the friends I did have. So I thought, well, I'm definitely going live tonight because that's how I reach out to people. One of the ways I call people too, like individually, but that's one of the ways I reach out. So I'm super behind in the chat. So I'm trying to keep up with you guys because y'all are awesome. Oh wow. Miss Dragon, your parents, they're both 90. My worst fears is that stuff in the house. Both the silent generation, they save everything. Oh gosh, you're right. Miss Dragon, my mom has so many odds and ends. Like it's not. So every time I go to visit them, I take something. Like I take some item or object with me, and a lot of the time I get rid of it. And it's like not something that bothers her. Like she often will give me the item to take away, and she knows that I may dispose of it or give it away to someone else. For whatever reason, she just can't do it. Like she can't be the one to throw it away or give it away. It's like I don't know what it is. Like my mother's not quite silent generation, but um her mother tended to throw stuff away really, really fast. Like she was a kid, she could only have toys that would fit in a small toy box. So I think she went the other way. Um, so she has a lot of stuff too and has a hard time. Yeah, a lot of people would like this, and it makes me feel like a total crazy person to say that I'm done with it. Yeah, the company that I worked for, I think what was it? 80% of their workforce is 100% remote, except for certain positions that, like, have to be in the office, like, to mail things and stuff like that. Um, the only downside to it is well, there's a few downsides. Like, 1, you miss the social interaction of, like, actually, like, seeing people, speaking to people, which you may not do a whole lot at a job, and it may not be the best culture ever, and you may be very introverted and not need very much of that, but a little bit of it is nice, you know? There was a time when I was doing an hour commute there and then another hour back. I didn't like that, I won't miss that. My new commute's not gonna be that long. Um, and I have a little bit more control over my schedule with the new job too. Basically, I can schedule people when I want to. It's just according to availability and stuff like that. But another part of it is that when you get meetings scheduled for you in an office setting physically, everybody kind of realizes, oh, you have to have time to like physically go from this room to the next and stuff like that. Um, People don't think about that when you're 100% remote. So if I showed you, and I won't because, it's proprietary or whatever, but if I showed you my work calendar right now, you might see I have like literally back to back to back meetings scheduled for the whole 8 hours of the day. And sometimes there's like three scheduled at once. And then I have to figure out how to say, hey, I can't go to your meeting because I'm in this other meeting. Or maybe if this meeting ends early, I'll come to this meeting. And it's like everybody has decided, like, oh, well, you can just stay seated at your computer. So you can just go back to back like that. But physical bodies don't work like that. Like we actually do have to get up and go to the bathroom and like stretch and move around and stuff. And yeah, that corporate system will like pull as much out of you as it can get, you know? At least that has been my experience. Janet G says, my mom turns 95 in August. She is the opposite. She's the ultimate declutter bug. Don't know where she got it, but she's always been that way. Thanks, Sandy Wandy. Thanks for saying the YouTuber thing. Don't forget to visit the like button. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. This sucks. I hated my wedding. I didn't wanna go and I couldn't cancel. Yeah, how do you can't like, how would you even do that, right? Like, they do it in movies, right? Like, people decide at the last minute they don't wanna get married or whatever, but, my thing was not that I didn't wanna get married. I did, but I did have moments where I was like, "This is too much trouble doing all this. Can we just elope?" And I think probably a lot of people have that. Catching up on the chat, you guys. Jason P says, I can attribute my bachelor's to why I work in the position I am blessed to have, but I will not go back for my master's. Ugh, no more essays. Essays didn't bother me so much, but there were other things that did. I'm trying to remember. Essays didn't bother me a whole lot because writing's kind of my jam, but I had to like pull myself like kicking, dragging, and screaming through my stats classes, through my statistics classes. Uh, that was hard for me. That was hard. Let's see. That's awesome. That's awesome, Jason P. Honestly, I'm kinda jealous of you and Crafty, which is this sounds great. We had the judge we paid $100 choreograph our wedding. That's awesome, really. I'm kinda jealous for sure. What? He also did I guess you're talking to Jason, he also did Jason's brother's 2nd wedding. Whoa, that's funny. That's interesting. We had the same so our officiant was actually a friend of ours. It was so my husband is a or was a theater teacher, and he had a really close friend who was a theater teacher at, like, a neighboring high school, and he had also done all the stuff to become an officiant. So he actually was our wedding officiant, and he's the one that signed our marriage certificate and everything like that. He's a cool guy. We still keep in touch a little bit. But I haven't talked to him in a while. I should reach out and see how he's doing. He adopted a little boy who 10 years ago was 5, so gosh, is a teenager now. Yeah, I need to reach out. Oh, we wanna see Herman again? This was a while back in the chat. This was like ten minutes ago in the chat. You think he was big? Like, by his head size, do you think he may have been actually the full 9 pounds? That was what my dad claimed, that this was like a 9-pound, 8 or 9-pound catfish, and that's why my grandfather was so big on, like, keeping his skull in some kind of trophy of him. Oh gosh. Mom says he would have been your dad, I guess. Yeah, dad was too young. Only he would have been 83 this year. Prayers and hugs and ones for Mon for missing your dad. Sorry to hear about that. That is 72 does seem young to me because that's around my parents' age, and I kinda I know logically that they are the age they are, but I kind of froze them in my head at, like, in their 50s, but I know that's not accurate, obviously. Miss Dragon says, "My oldest got his IT degree while working full-time at the grocery store. I gave him free rent, phone, etc. as a trade-off for not getting a school loan." Those school loans will get you. Um, they will follow you around forever and ever and ever. My husband actually, yeah, we paid his off like a couple years ago. We still have other debt to pay off, but we paid off his school loan a couple years ago. We probably should have paid off one of the other ones first, but we were just happy to get one payment out of the way, you know? Warren says, "My version of the post-event blues is that I will miss the department I worked in the last 2 years." Yeah, yeah, that's a version of it for sure. Like, if you've been in one place forever, or not forever, but for a long time, you've kinda gotten used to how things run there, and maybe you've made connections and friends there, and even if you're, like, leaving for a good reason or you're leaving to go somewhere better, something that you're excited for, there's still mixed feelings about that, right? I'm totally in the middle of that right now, Warren, because I've been at the job I've had for 7.5 years. It would have been 8 years in November. And I finally like tapped out this year and said, I can't work in health insurance anymore. I just can't. Um, Once I became a manager, I saw too much of how the sausage was made, and it's really, really ugly sausage. So I can't do it anymore. But I've been working with the same team of people for most of that 7.5 years, and I've come to really like and appreciate them as human beings, and I'm gonna miss all of them, and I'm going to a job I'm really, really excited about, but there's still that nerve thing of, you know, is it gonna be, what's it gonna be like? So I totally hear you. Totally hear you. You said that you're moving to Arkansas. I remember you saying that because you might be near our friend Carol from Carol at Needing a Meeting. Yes, yes, Janet G. Precisely. Warren Shull, it's hard to move on from a job you really loved. It's really like the end of a relationship. Even if you got to a point where you didn't really love it, like, it's still hard, right? Like, when I told my team that I was leaving, it kinda felt like I was breaking up with 7 people all at once, which is awful, especially if you're a recovering people pleaser, because that's the thing, we don't like to make people feel bad, and they got used to the way things worked with me, and I had to make a bunch of people feel bad, so they were fine, though. They did better than I was worried about, but yeah, this is true. If it's an amazing job, I think you grieve it for sure. Like, in my case, I'm gonna grieve people, like, not getting to see and speak to them daily. And the job I had may be perfect for somebody else. I'm thinking a lot about that lately is probably somebody else would be a lot better at it because 'cause they're better suited to it and because they like it, you know? I think that's a big part of it. Yes, thank you for defining this. The silent generation is those born in the 30s, went through the Great Depression, somewhere there for the Korean War, and somewhere in between. Thank you, Miss Dragon. And yeah, people say that the silent generation, they went through depression, so a lot of them have a tendency to not throw out things, but to prefer fixing things, or repurposing items rather than throwing them out and buying new ones. My grandparents, the grandparent that caught the fish, they were of the silent generation, and they really, really valued, you know, being economical with their items. Really missed? I didn't know you took years of singing and dancing and a year of acting. That's really cool. But I have my AA in general science, says Miss Dragon. That's really cool. I'm a housewife. Hey, those years of singing and dancing and acting, like, actually all of those degree items, like, all of that education, I think probably comes in really handy for being a housewife, like, and from being a mom, especially the singing and dancing and acting. Like, how else do you keep your kids amused all day long? And you have to be able to project too, like, you learn that in singing and acting, like, when you're telling them to calm down and stop acting foolish, like, you need to be able to project that voice, right? Seventh says, "My parents were from the greatest generation, but growing up in the depression never threw out anything." Yeah, exactly. Hence, never threw out anything. I wonder if my granddad ever thought that his granddaughter would keep this fish head and be showing him to he would probably be really pleased as punch if he knew that. He was obviously proud enough of this catch that he kept it. If he knew. He's somewhere up there, like, grinning from ear to ear. "Hey, Mo love. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in." Oh, yeah. Oh, the statistics, chi-square. Ooh, it gives me, like, sad flashbacks to statistics. Let's see. Catching up, you guys. I'm still behind on the chat, but I'm catching up. We got some ones, support. What? Really, Mo love? Wait, I met an 83-year-old man today, and out of the blue, his name is Harold, and we are best friends now. He cuts lawns. That's awesome. That is random and beautiful. I love that. Wait, he's 83 and he's still cutting lawns? That's kind of awesome. He's kind of my hero. That's awesome. When we first moved into our house, I insisted on cutting the lawn myself all the time. My husband has really, really bad allergies, so if he did it, he would then be sick with a sinus infection like a week, and I was really, really cheap, and I didn't wanna pay somebody else to do it, so I did it myself for a long, long time, and then I got a busier job, and then we had a kid, and lately we've had other people do it for us, but I might start doing it again just because it's exercise, It's good for you. It gets you out. Apparently, helps you live longer. The 83-year-old man is doing it. I mean, he must be onto something. Ooh, gardening. We're talking about gardening. I would still love to be a person that gardens. I wanna learn how to do that. That would probably be fun with my 5-year-old. He loves digging in the dirt already anyway, and so this would give him a reason to, like, a purpose behind it instead of, I mean, play is a purpose, but still. I told him if he got me one of his shirts with his business name and the phone number on the back, that I would wear it and strut like I've just done on the catwalk. That's awesome. That would be great. That would be awesome. And then you can advertise his lawn business. That would be so cool. Oh no, missed. My last day at my job, found out my birth mom passed. Wow. Talk about post-event letdown, but that's different altogether. Like, the post-event blues or the post-event meltdown thing, that's just from the event itself. But you had this huge life change on top of it that changes your whole perspective on the world, and you have to adjust to the world is a different place without this person in it and what that means to you personally, you know? That's huge. That's huge. Gosh, I hope nothing super, super huge. I mean, when it rains, it pours, right? When it rains, it pours. Aw, that's nice. Aw, that's nice. What does Japanese soda taste like? I'm curious. Is it the kind with it's got the bottle and it's got the little, like, marble in the neck of it? I've seen those before. Catching up on the chat. Doodly doo. Doodly doo. Question. Warren's got the good questions for me. Warren says, "You all have good questions." Warren says, "Would you have stayed with the health insurance company if the claim payment decisions were really up to you?" Uh, so I didn't do claims. I can tell you this. I worked in the prior authorization department for behavioral health. Prior authorization is basically permission to bill a service. In the health insurance world, some procedures, services, whatever, some of them require prior authorization where the doctor, therapist, whoever has to request from the insurance company basically to say, hey, is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I bill this when we're done? And then the health insurance company looks at all the clinical stuff. They send all their notes and they say, yeah, yeah, you can bill that. Or they say, no, we don't think you can. And the way that they do this is by comparing all these clinical notes from that doctor or that therapist or provider, whoever, against what's called a medical necessity criteria. And those are generally like research based, like this is the kind of situation where you would need, I don't know, intensive outpatient therapy. This is the kind of situation where you would need durable medical equipment. And what you do is you look at the what clinical notes the provider submitted, you compare it to that thing, and then you say, this doesn't meet that criteria. So I'm going to send it to this other. So I'm going to call you and say, hey, do you have any more notes? And they're going to say, yes, no. You're going to try to, see if you can get it to meet. And then you're going to do this whole dance where you send it back and forth to a doctor that also works at the insurance company. And then the doctor is going to say, well, I don't think it meets, or I do think it meets. And then they're going to call the provider and try to have that doctor that works for the insurance company actually talk to them. And it's really just this whole long and drawn out dance back and forth that just delays getting things done and getting things to people. So I didn't work in claims. But see, this all happens before someone can even bill for something, right? Claims is just saying, hey, we did the thing, please pay us. There's a whole other department for claims. And there's a whole other reason why a claim may be denied that has nothing to do with anything medical necessity related. If a provider perverts the wrong code on something, if they put the wrong number on something, it might get denied. And then they'll have to go back and forth fixing all that stuff. So that was a long answer and not really an answer to your question, um, because it's a bigger subject than your question. Uh, some things were really up to me, so I don't think that that would have made a difference. No, I don't think I would have stayed because there were some things up to me. So perhaps I will go into more detail in another week or two. Aw. Your new best friend, Mo Love, made me so depressed. He's 83 and he cuts like football field size lawns, and we have brand new extra bathing suits and clothes for people to think, oh, he hung out in the pool with you. That's cool. Aw, that's nice. That's cool, Mo Love. That was kind of you. Thank you for being kind to that person. Miss Dragon says, I took dance class from kindergarten through my senior year here in high school. Oh, that's cool. There's not a large demand for a dancer at 5'3". I don't know why. I don't know who decided that like dancers have to be a certain height. It seems silly, doesn't it? I don't know. I took choir from 7th grade through my senior year. That's so cool, Miss. No wonder you have such a beautiful melodic voice. That makes sense. Right? Right, Warren? Warren gets it. Acting does help for a mom. When I would experience bullying at school, my mom helped me through it by role playing. It was hilarious seeing her play the part of the bully. That's really cool, Warren. That's awesome. That's something that a bunch of therapists do actually is like if someone's anxious about a social situation, they'll like use role playing as a tool. So that's awesome. Your mom sounds really cool. See, I second what Crafty Witch says. Your mom sounds awesome. That's a good point. Molo says Gen X and millennials and Gen Z all act like each other is the worst, but like all of us are going to be playing bingo together in the retirement home. Like we won't be that far apart in age. That's a good point. That's a good point. Oh, this is funny. Miss says, Mo, can you imagine Gen X's nursing home music will be listening to Welcome to the Jungle at the highest volume the system can play? And we're gonna have the gen once the nursing home, like, starts having all the cool tattoos and stuff. I've heard people, like, say that as an argument against tattoos, like, "Well, what's that gonna look like when you're old?" Well, I think, like, well, I'll just be a badass old person then. Like, what? Oh, this is the Japanese sodas I asked about, Mo. They have less sugar, so not terrible for you, but sweet, and the flavors are amazing. Try melon. Fantastic. Cool, cool. Yes, Metallica in the nursing home. Yes, Ride the Lightning in the nursing home. Metallica might be there with us. Well, they'll probably have their own really fancy nursing home. They've made enough money. They'll have their own. Yes, Lamb of God playing his white noise music. We've got a pretty cool nursing home we're building, you guys. Pretty badass. Discovered today after hubby's surgery, and potassium cost $0 when I picked it up today. Speaking of insurance. Oh, well, that's good that the potassium costs $0. That's good. So sometimes insurance does pay for things. So typically, if it's a thing that is likely to keep something more expensive from happening to a person, insurance will pay for it. So, like supplements, and like a supplement is relatively cheap for an insurance company. Um, the big top tier things that health insurance will fight over and like delay and go back and forth on are going to be your inpatient overnight stays. Those cost a lot. And some hospitals do overcharge for things for sure. And in theory, the insurance company thing or the managed care organization is in place to help control those costs and keep the hospital from overdoing it and like running amok. But this part's just my opinion. What I see happening is the hospital's not bringing its costs down in response to what the MCO does, the insurance company. They're keeping their costs the same, and whatever the insurance company doesn't pay for, they just make the person who was sick pay for. So I don't, in my humble opinion, I don't think it's accomplishing what it was meant to. But that's just my humble opinion as a non-expert of things. Janet G says, my daughter was getting bullied around age 10. I signed her and her twin sister up for Taekwondo to give them confidence. It worked. She felt confidence and the bully moved on to someone else. That's awesome. I took one Taekwondo for a little bit in middle school too. It was really, really fun. It does kind of get you to sort of like walk a little taller and, feel a little bit more secure in yourself, even if you're not like throwing punches all the time. And I know several people for whom Taekwondo in particular has been really, really helpful for them just in their mental health and discipline and all kinds of things. Mary says, "No, green thumb for the gardening is not something this girl has. I will stick to crochet." Crochet is an awesome awesome skill to have. I still wanna learn crochet. I haven't yet. I still want to learn. Miss says, "My insurance only approved my MRI for my head, but not my MRA. I guess they're waiting for results so I can be claustrophobic tube for the second time." Oh, I'm sorry, miss. So I actually don't know off the top of my head what an MRA is. I know an MRI is magnetic resonance imaging where they put you through the tube but I actually don't know what an MRA is. So they approved for one for your head, but not for something else. That's really that's really upsetting. Um, Probably so I was in behavioral health, so I don't know jack about what the insurance company looks at for MRIs, but probably it does require prior auth, permission to bill, and probably what they're looking for is that your doctor did some other assessments first before requesting this big expensive tube test. Because to an insurance company, that's what it is. It's a big expensive tube test. And what they're looking for is to make sure, well, did you ask all these other questions and did you do all these cheaper tests first to make sure you need the big expensive tube test? That's probably what they're looking for from your doctor. That's probably what will be the magic key that gets the purse strings to open. Let's see. Catching up, catching up. Yeah, that's right. Mary sent me some cool pictures of her daughter, Christina, at her wedding that I would like to share because they're beautiful and makes me feel happy for the institution of weddings. Because they're, oh, I love these colors. I don't know if I can make it bigger on the screen. Maybe if I turn my phone sideways. Hold on a sec. Do, do, do. Oh, my phone just freaked out. It said, "What? You want to turn the phone sideways? I can't do that. I'm just a computer in your pocket." Oh, darn it. Hold, please. Here we go. Here we go. That's the pretty flowers and the colors. I love those colors. I love the way the colors and the flowers offset the dresses. That's beautiful. Oh my gosh, Mary. And that's Mary's daughter in her wedding dress. And it looks like you guys had the ceremony or the reception on the water somewhere. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing those, Mary. It's really, really cool. Yeah, Maya. So here's the thing. It's so nuts that a non doctor is deciding what is necessary to treat a patient. Well, that argument has been made. And so I don't know how it works in other countries. I know how it works here in the United States because that's where I live and that's where I've worked for an insurance company. But that argument gets made. And so what the insurance company then says is, okay, well, we're going to hire licensed people to review this documentation and compare it to the medical necessity criteria. And then we're going to hire also MDs, doctors, to then look at it too. So the insurance company actually, so I have my LPC, I'm a licensed professional counselor. So an insurance company hired me as a licensed behavioral health professional to look at this stuff and compare it and say it meets or it doesn't. And not only that, they also hired an MD, a psychiatrist, for me to send stuff to if it didn't look like it met. So that guy could say, "Oh, I agree, it doesn't meet. Let's not authorize it." And this whole thing just has all these different levels so that nobody that works for the insurance company has to feel too responsible for something getting denied because it goes through all these different levels and all these different people. Like I as the behavioral health professional, I'm not allowed to click deny on anything. I had to send it to an MD. And then when he says denied and sends it back to me, then I send it to someone else to even send the letter to say it's denied. And then there's someone else who doesn't pay the claim. So it's just got all these different levels in place. So nobody has to feel responsible or bad for it. And it just delays, in my humble opinion, delays getting a person what they need. Now, sometimes there's fraud. Sometimes there's people that are billing for things that they're not doing. And that's a situation where you do need some oversight of it. That does happen. Um, but I don't know. I don't think that the way that we're handling it is very efficient or effective, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion. That's gonna be my, my mantra, in my humble opinion. The MRA is mapping all the arteries in your head. Oh, okay. So, like, magnetic resonance arteries? And I missed stuff here because 'cause I'm super slow on the chat. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop, boop. Sleep calls. Okay, Miss Dragon. Thank you for being here. It was so good to see you. Hey, Mr. Brad Boy, I didn't see you come in there. Thanks for being here. Cool, cool. Awesome. Cool, Mo Love. You guys are ever in MC, Northern Virginia area, wanna stay here, let me know. We might not be here, maybe one person. Aw, thanks, Mo Love, that's kind of you. Alright, and I'm kind of caught up now. If I missed your chat, please know it was not on purpose. Let's see, let's see. Do, 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 do. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Steer has zoomed from 93 to 336 subs. Woohoo! Awesome blossom, that's awesome. Woohoo, fantastic. Hey, Miss Sunrise Dawn is here. Good to see you. Hi from North Georgia, everyone. Taekwondo, my love. Taekwondo is a type of martial art. Um, I don't know offhand like the specific origins of it, like what country it started in or anything like that, but it's a type of martial arts. I wish I could say this surprised me, but it does not. Miss Dragon says, one last thing before I sleep. It was $69,000 for hubby's hospital room for 3 nights. We've definitely hit our deductible. Yeah. I mean, that's awful. At least hitting your deductible. The deductible means after you've hit that, they have to pay for everything else in a certain category of care after that, but that's ridiculous. So that's out of hand on the hospital side because they're charging like $100 for a box of tissues. Um, if you don't have insurance and you're ever in a hospital stay situation and you get this astronomical bill, one thing you can do is ask for a detailed itemized receipt, and you will see crazy things like charging $100 for a box of tissues, which theoretically is why insurance companies, managed care organizations exist, is to try to control those costs, but it doesn't happen that way, unfortunately, in my humble opinion. Okay, angiography. Thank you. I learn something new every day. Magnetic resonance angiography is a type of MRI that uses radio waves and magnetic fields to create images of blood vessels in the body. That's awesome. Yeah. I learn something new every day. So that's specifically to try to see how your blood vessels are doing. Gotcha. A tornado, Mon. Oh my gosh. Are you okay? Are you and all your people okay? That's what's most important. Don't worry about photos. Holy moly. Yeah, 7th, I didn't know they got tornadoes down under either. I thought we were special here in Texas and Oklahoma, like Tornado Alley here, but then I learned in other parts of the United States get them too. That's scary. I hope everybody's okay. Do you mean the health insurance companies, Sandy Wendy? It's a lot of bureaucracy, in my opinion. That is exactly what it is, and that is what it is designed to do. Um, that's what it's designed to do. Kristen Melinda, if you approve, is the process still that slow? Do you mean if you approve a request? Let me think. 'Cause I can think about it from the perspective of the person, like, doing the work, like, the me or the person that I manage, our part is quicker. Like, it's actually quicker and easier for a person who had my job or the job of the person I managed to approve something. Um, so, like, we from the perspective of, like, I guess, the little peon, our of little worker bees, we would want to try to find a way to approve it. We'd want to be able to see that the doctor sent all the information we needed to approve it because it's going to be way quicker for us to get our work done if everything is there and it's all hunky dory. But there's all these systems in place to keep us from just approving things. Like, for example, like you get trained that it's really important to make sure that it meets this criteria or it's not getting the member the right kind of care. And they call people members, not patients, because it's like a member of the insurance company. It's called member there, but It's the patient. But, um, like, you can approve something, like, you can approve a prior auth, but something still might come up that when that provider submits a claim, it might still not get paid. Like, if you get that prior auth approval letter, it'll say right there, like, in fine print, it'll say, "Prior authorization is not a guarantee of payment." All it's saying is like, "Yeah, we agree that this meets medical necessity and the person probably needs it," but it's not guaranteeing that it's gonna get paid. It's more likely, but it's not guaranteeing it. So, I would say sometimes it's not slow and sometimes it is. It just depends. Sandy Wendy says oversight is needed, but multi-billion dollar insurance companies aren't the right source of oversight. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Smart woman. Oh, Miss Sunrise Dawn, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't stay. I was mostly just checking in to say hi and make sure all was okay. I'm modding for one of the LA streamers. No worries at all, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Thank you for stopping by. It's good to see you. Was Lara FM one of those in LA earlier? I had her on earlier. Like I had her like her stream, she was like streaming nonstop. Like I just had her up, like, and then I fell asleep with my kiddo. Yes. We can have a wild pre-retirement party here. I love it. That sounds fun. Okay, good, Mon. Mon says, I'm fine, busy, and house so far is okay, but I will try and check down the side of the house, hopefully when horizontal rain is gone. Horizontal rain, is that what's happening right now, Mon? Holy moly. I hope that you are bundled up and have the hatches battened and all the things that you do. I'm so sorry. That's scary. You have my phone number, so please check in. Please keep in touch. Yeah, Mary says for her daughter's wedding, I did her flowers. They're wood flowers that you can dye to be any color you need them to be. Those were made of wood? Oh my gosh, really? These are made of wood? I just zoomed in. That's amazing. These are made of wood, Mary? They look just like regular flowers. That's so cool. I would never have wow. Hold on. Sorry, I'm geeking out now. I mean, I was already geeking out. The photos are already beautiful, but these are made of wood? They're cut, so, like, the petals are so, like, intricately cut, though. That's so cool. And then you can keep them. That's neat. Oh, I'm getting to this part of the chat where we respond to the cost of inpatient care at a hospital. Yeah. Yeah, $1,000 a day is cheap for an inpatient stay. Like, psychiatric facility inpatient tends to cost a little less because 'cause you're not doing things like MRIs and stuff, but you're still getting off the hook cheap if you're around $1,000 a night for a psychiatric inpatient stay, and that's what I reviewed. That and outpatient services. Actually, I focus mainly on outpatient services. Her reception was a reception hall with a beautiful lake in front of it. Her wedding was at the church. That's so cool, Mary, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. I hope everybody's okay. Miss Sunrise Dawn says, "Things went crazy out there a little bit ago. Michael protester was arrested, tempers flared, etc. Gotta get back and help with the modding. Love you all." Yeah, please do. Please do. We're a pretty chill chat over here. I know things can get crazy in a chat where stuff like that happens. So take care, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Thank you for stopping to say hi. Mon, thank you for saying the YouTube things for me. I surely appreciate it. I always forget every time. Please hit the like, subscribe if you would like to do. If you would like for Herman, or if you're not a fan of Herman, I'm here too. These kind people are here too. Or you can subscribe just for Herman. Or I haven't shown him in a little while. You can subscribe for Positive Potato. I may be a tiny potato, but I believe in you. Go do your thing. So I'm trying something with this. There's a little light on my camera that I did never know was there. And so I'm trying it today. So y'all tell me if it's like, "Whoa," like too bright or if it's all right. I felt like, wow, that's really bright. You can see my face a lot. I was a little unnerved by it. Yeah, I didn't know they got tornadoes in Australia either, Sandy Wandy, until Mon told us this was happening. Oh, Seven says, I didn't know we had tornadoes in Southern California until I discovered I live in a tornado alley. I've only had two in the 20 years I've lived here. Well, that's good that you've only had the two, I guess. I mean, it's still probably two too many, but it's good that it was just the two. We have this too, Sandy Wandy. In California, there's a legally mandated time frame to respond to requests for authorization. This is what's called a turnaround time or a TAT. Um, every every health insurance company or MC is going to have by contract a turnaround time or a TAT for the request of any kind of authorization. And it's going to mainly be based on like the state laws, and it's also going to be based on the urgency. If there's not a state law about it, then the MCO just kind of like figures it out with the provider, and that basically means the MCO decides what it is. Um, Hours for inpatient stays are 24 hours. Like we had to respond in 24 hours, but the whole process is still occurs within that 24 hours. You just have to hustle to do it, but it does occur, and it can be extended in some cases. And uh, for like outpatient services that were not urgent, it would usually be like 3 business days or sometimes 3 calendar days, depending on what it was. But in other states, it's like really long. Like the turnaround time is like 14 days, like before. So it just depends where you are, depends on your health insurance. Um, and just because so a shorter response time is not necessarily going to be better for the patient either. And here's why. Because, like for me, as a little peon working at the insurance company, if I get this documentation from this provider and this request to authorize something, and I see, oh, dang, there's not enough here in their notes for me to say that it meets this criteria, I have to say that it meets. If I have 3 days, I can choose to call that provider and let them know and say, hey, if you sent me X, Y, and Z, this could meet. Could you send this to me? I have time to do that. If I have a 24-hour turnaround time, I don't have time to do that. I might make one call, leave a message, and then give up and send it to the doctor. And then there's no time to go back and forth and communicate with the doctor or the provider. So the turnaround time being faster, sometimes, like in theory, it's supposed to get people what they need faster. It doesn't always work that way. I think so too. I think so too, Mary. I think service dogs should be covered by insurance. They're a vital part of healthcare for a lot of people. Like, I mean, and so insurance is a business, right? Everything in the United States is a business if it's going to survive, right? So I can't knock that too much. It's just the way of the world. Um, but the idea, the principle is that if you're the health insurance company, you want to pay for things that are going to be relatively less expensive than the things they could prevent. So, like, if you have a person that could go into a diabetic coma, that could be really life threatening and not just life threatening, also really expensive for the health insurance company. So, if a service dog could help prevent that, then it makes sense to cover it. But in my humble opinion, as a non-expert, I have no degrees in healthcare administration or any of these things. I am just a human who has seen some things and read some things and been upset about some things like all of us. Hey, there's Chow Yun Smut, the channel that a lot of us like to frequent right after this one that usually goes on right around 1 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is 11 p.m. Pacific Time. I think I'm getting that down right. I just have to figure out what Eastern is. I have the Pacific difference in my head. I don't have the Eastern one in my head yet. And I'm gonna see what else you lovely people have to say, and then maybe wrap it up and send you guys over there if you want to, or to go check out some of the protest streaming if that's something that you're interested in for the Scientology protests. Sola wood flowers. Okay, cool. Awesome. I gotta check those out. Those look so cool. They're so realistic. I look paler. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Y'all wanna play a game here? So, this is the middle that's so there's the middle setting, right? This is the not as bright as it could be. Here's the brightest it could be, right? That's blinding. That's terrifying. And then there's just, like, not on at all. I might just leave it off. Actually, it was kind of in my face. I kinda feel better with it not on now, actually. Catching up on the chat. Bloop, bloop. All right, Mon, please be safe. Mon says I'm going to say a good night. All I'm getting a migraine, probably weather related. I'm so sorry you're getting a migraine. I hope it goes away swiftly. For those who are going to sleep, hopefully it's peaceful. Please take care, Mon. Please be careful in the crazy tornado-y weather. That's terrifying. I hope your migraine goes away quite swiftly. Can't think of a better. Ooh, Eastern equals Central plus 1. So for me, it is so if somebody goes on at 12 Central Time, they go on at 1 Eastern Time. Oh, that's right, because they're further this way. They're for everything that's bear with me. In my head, it makes sense. The more east of me they are, the more in the future they are. Right? Right. Eastern plus 1 hour. Gotcha. Gotcha. Thanks, guys. I get a little challenged on counting stuff. Um, it's always fun when you're in the middle of, like, looking at something with someone, like, I'm going over so one of the things I have had to do in my job is monthly, I have to meet with people and go over their production numbers with them. I love meeting with people, and I love encouraging them, and I love talking with them and getting them what they need to feel good about doing their job. I hate going over numbers with people. Hate it with the fiery passion of 1,000 suns, which is why I don't belong in this job. But it's always fun when they see me going over their numbers with them and I have to say, "Okay, and hold on a sec while I get my calculator out so we can figure out your daily average." Um, Everybody gets to see my math, uh, challenges. Not that I can't do it, that it takes me longer and I need tools, you know? That's all. I'm trying to think about it differently. Warren, if you're still here, I'm trying to think about it differently. It's not that I can't do it. I just have to take a different amount of time and I have to use certain tools. That's all. That's all. Yeah, actually, it sucks. Can't think of a better name. Some people have an aptitude for it, and some people have a better stomach for it. And I mean, every business to some degree is going to have that, right? Like if you're sales, you're going over how much someone is selling. They have to kind of like be selling enough to justify their salary or whatever. And then in the business I work in, everybody is required to complete a certain number of these authorization requests daily, um, to make things efficient. And but there's all sorts of caveats, and kind of the system is designed to make it slower. So to me, that's what's torturous about it. If it were just going over the numbers and just helping people try to be more efficient, that would be fine. But um, I feel like there's been a lot of roadblocks thrown in the way quite purposefully by a system that's designed to slow it down. Um, because at the end of the day, a health insurance company is a business. Businesses exist to make profit and money. And maybe they're an ethical business that also wants to help people. And if that's the case, awesome. Hunky dory, that's great. Making a profit is not inherently evil, right? Like we all have to make money to survive, to eat. Um, but the way that an insurance company makes money is by charging a certain amount per person per month. And that all goes into a pool, right? And to make a profit, you have to not pay for some things, right? You have to find a justification to not pay for things. So ultimately, all health insurance to some degree makes its profit by not paying for things. And hopefully they have a good reason for not paying for things, but it's debatable whether that is always the case. So, yeah, you got to have metrics, but I didn't have the stomach for it anymore. Like if I worked for a business that just sold stuff, I don't know, like if I worked for a group that like sold a product that was just like, I don't know, we make they make screen wipes or something, and you need to sell a certain number of screen wipes, and I'm going over, "Hey, this month you sold this many screen wipes, and you average this many a day. What was happening on this day?" Like, actually, that wouldn't bother me as much as what I do now because it's very straightforward. Like, a person buys a screen wipe, they get a screen wipe, you know? That's kinda ethical to me. But, what bothers me about health insurance is that people think they're getting one thing and they get something different, or they don't get something. So that's what bothers me about it. I could do metrics all day if it was straightforward what people that were paying into it were getting, you know? Alrighty, guys. Well, I've blathered on. I started out talking about post-event letdown, and then I ended up off on a insurance tangent. So thank you for that. It is fun. Ooh, good question, Warren. Has anyone ever tricked you by fudging their numbers? No, because in the system I have worked in, I have had the final access to what their numbers are. Like it's all on the computer. It's all automated. How many authorizations somebody completes, like they might manually keep track of it on their own, but we have an automated system that tracks it. And that's where I pulled them from. And the only thing they could fudge is to say something like, "Oh, well, this says I only did one, but I was out of the office half the day." So it's treating it like it's a whole day when it's not. That's about the only place you could fudge it. But I guess I'm trying to think, is there another way people could do that within the system I work in? Probably not. Probably not. You'd have to like fake completing authorizations, and that would get caught really fast, just the way everything is set up. So I don't think so. Thanks, Rick. Hey, good to see you. Real nice gathering, Kristen. Hello, all. I enjoyed it lots. Be safe. Watch out, mom and family. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for popping your head up too. It's always nice to see you. Always make me smile. Well, while we're doing our Midwest, Southern Texas, Minnesota, whatever area you like to call it, while we're doing our Texas goodbyes, which just mean it lasts longer, I'm going to go grab some links to share before we send people out into the world, into the universe here. Let's see if I can find them. So I don't have my eyes on the chat quite at this moment. So if you're chatting, I'm not ignoring you. I just have another window in my way. What a funny world where windows mean something entirely different than they meant 50 years ago. Windows used to just be one thing. I just think it's funny. But I'm a silly goose. I think things are funny that are not necessarily other people think are funny. Uh-oh. There's an error reported to Google. Sorry, you guys. I'm having an issue with my links here. Y'all are also cool and patient. I'm sure you're over there in the chat. I can't see you, just chilling. Either not saying anything or you've all left. I don't know. That could have happened. That might have happened. I wouldn't blame. Oh, there was a little bit of chatting after it. Thanks for sharing Nick's link, Mary. I appreciate that. All right. So as always, I am going to share. Oh no, did my connection go away? Whoops, whoops, whoops. Okay, hold on one second, guys. Thank you, Janet G. It was so good to see you. Thanks for being here. Oh, you can still see me? Awesome. Awesome. Well, that way I know not to like blow my nose or something. I know I've not ended the stream. So as always, I like to share the link to the lifeboat because that's where I met most of you kind people. And then I think Mary shared it earlier, but we'll see. She might be faster than me. I'll reshare it. Often Mary is faster than me on the draw with the sharing of the links. I need to figure out the bot with you, the one that shares links quickly. But I think someone has to be in the chat to do it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Bots kind of freak me out a little bit sometimes, though, but they have a reason. They have a reason. All right. And then, of course, our friend Chow Yun Smut, her channel, Cricket's channel, she usually goes on in about, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes from now, usually most nights, unless she's posted that she's taken the night off. Thanks, Maya. I love hanging with you too. And my people that are still hanging out. People are still here. Like, I'm always like thrilled and happily surprised when there's still people at the end of this. Thanks for sticking it out with me. Um, Thanks for starting out with this discussion of post event letdown and hanging out for what turned into a discussion of everything from fish to fishing to health insurance. I appreciate all of you guys. Oh, I forgot to say book club book. If you guys are still interested in doing the virtual book club, I have a book for June. The book for June is going to be Becoming Unsilenced by Meg Applegate, Surviving and Fighting the Troubled Teen Industry. And this is nonfiction. It is a memoir and it's kind of heavy. Like there's like all the trigger warnings because the troubled and teen industry is a troubled industry and there's abuse within it. But if you would like to read along with me, that's the book I'm going with for June. And then at the end of the month, what I'll do is I'll set up the stream so that I can send you guys a link. And if you want to hop on screen with me to discuss the book, you can. You don't have to read the book to hang out at the stream. You can still chat about whatever you want to chat about as long as you're kind. But I kind of wanted to give us a little bit of, I thought this would be fun to start with. Um, if you I'll post it on the community tab too, so you can see what book is. If you really, really want to participate and you're having a hard time getting the book, just let me know. Reach out to me, email me. We'll figure it out for you. Put my email in here. KristenMelinda47@gmail.com. All right, guys. That's really the end of my Texas goodbye. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Y'all have already cured my post-event letdown. Thank you for being my social support system. Oh, show the book again, Fanny Wendy? Okay, there we go. All right, guys. Have a great night. Take care, y'all. Bye.